Hi everyone, this is Penguin Trades. We're looking at the ES futures on a 500 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So prices in this uptrend right here pushing off the overnight low, and you can see we have these two legs up within it, and then as soon as price met it, it ended up having a burst on through and overshot the channel at the same time, and then retested that measured move level before making two more attempts at a new high. You can see here, since price pushed through that measured move level, it sort of ended up acting like its own trend instead of like, this uptrend playing out with a break in a new high. Since this second leg got so strong it pushed through that measured move level, it sort of acted like its own trend. We have an uptrend with a break, two legs up to a new high, and then a reversal attempt, which ends up holding up right on that previous measured move level. And so as soon as it reaches that level, that is what pushes it higher. It broke the channel here, so when this uptrend got a break, we can expect price to at least attempt a new high, and then of course right when it reached that measured move level, that's when we get our first attempt up and then our second attempt up. And so the uptrend has a break and plays out with two clear legs to a new high before reversing on down and fading the overnight high. Now this is all clearly one leg on a bigger picture. We can't ignore the obvious play out though of the smaller trend. Clearly this is a leg up, we have a break, two attempts at a new high, and that pushes us into a reversal. Now what we're getting here is we're getting this couple legs up here, so now this uptrend has a break, first attempt at a new high, second attempt at a new high. On the opposite side of the count, it's making a failed second entry, and so I'm just going to get a couple orders ready for a good reaction here, because I'm looking to get short right on this reversal pattern. So if we can just get something here. So now that we have this green bar, what could happen is it could act like a failure if it triggers above and then pushes out the lows. It's already pushing out the lows though here. Alright, so we're closing more below here. We're already getting a good reaction, so I'm going to go ahead and put this one tick below. So here initially you can see we rejected that high, and then I really gotta, there we go. So we got this initial reaction here, then we got this, and at that point it's showing that it's bearish because it's a bearish bar closing on its low, but we still didn't get under this channel high, or I should call it range high, and then we rejected it here, and then we barely got below it here, which it might, as you can see, it's really just closing on it, but at that point the reaction was bearish enough for me to enter. This is a very clear two-legged move to a new high. It's already rejecting the measured move. It's a failed second entry on the other side of the count, which me explaining just caused me to not focus up here. I meant to go 1-to-1 just to the lows of this range right here. And so you can see that's what I meant to do. But I was distracted explaining. But so that's the idea behind this trade, is we wait for that reaction, get in after price starts pushing lower, and then write it down to the lows of this range right here. So anyway, we now have an uptrend with a break, two attempts at a new high, and a very clear reaction failing to make that new high. And so when price starts pushing down here, it's pretty clear to see that we're getting a second bigger picture leg down. Now this measured move is still in play, of course, and so if we can get a rush below this low right here, because again we wanted to get out here because this is a clear support area, so if we can push through the support area and then get a couple legs back retesting it before we reach this measured move, then we can get short using the measured move to our advantage on a retest. And so that's what I would like to see. As you can see, we're now pushing up at these lows here, so we just have to stick with what price does. We don't know for sure if it's going to break on down. These two legs down could be, as soon as it broke that swing right there, that could count as the two-legged break of this uptrend. And then it could still make an even bigger picture new high attempt. And so we just got to stick with what price does. If we push lower, we'll look to get short on a retest. But if price holds up here, then if it pushes out the highs, of course we'll have to switch gears. If we push out the highs, then we'll want to see 2 attempts to fade and then get in on a fade failure. We can't just buy the breakout as soon as it breaks out, even with an uptrend in play like that. Even if we get a very strong push out, we still need to see 2 attempts to fade in order to safely enter long on a breakout. And I guess we're just going to have to see how price reacts to that overnight high right here. So we just got a very good push up here. Now, if price ends up having a sharp push down here, we still have to consider, we have this new low here. We can't go short immediately on a bearish reaction after a new low. It's just a first entry. So if we get a push down here, we could get a failed second entry that's holding around these range highs, and then we could get short and ride something down to these lows. But if price pushes back out again, then we'll want to see 2 attempts to fade and get in on a fade failure for a long and continue with the breakout. And then if price does push on lower here, breaking these lows, then again we'll look to get in on a 2-legged retest of this level to reach this down measured move down here. So I just wanted to explain everything I'm looking at here. I'm definitely glad a quick trade popped up right as I started, because just good to have. Alright, so I just wanted to give a quick update. So the uptrend has a break, push up to a new high, and now we're getting a reversal on down. As soon as it made that new high, it started the reversal. After it retested the overnight high, it needed one last 2-legged retest of that level before pushing lower. And now we're going into a downtrend, fading the overnight high. So now that we've faded the overnight high, one common thing to see is a couple legs up, retesting it. Obviously, we're only getting one leg up here, but we could push off of that and then get another chance at that on a bigger picture, which could offer a short and just basically offer an entry to continue down with the fade. What I would like to see here is price breach these lows as far as going short goes, because it's still overall a bullish bias. Price is at the high end of this overnight range here. The uptrend has played out, but it hasn't made a very significant reversal yet. It clearly went into a downtrend here, but as soon as it faded back up here, it's pushing back out. So you can see it's still making higher lows. It could end up going into some kind of trend like this. This is looking pretty solid here, so this is definitely something worth considering. So if we can push on through here, and because at this point, as soon as this swing pushed off here, that's when this channel becomes a whole lot more clear. So if we push through here, then what's likely going to happen is this will be treated as a valid uptrend, and so a couple attempts at a new high will be likely. And so if we push on down here, I'd like to see a couple legs up. That way we can get short on a failure. This channel is obviously valid. We have 4 bounces off of it, off these lows here, but obviously the highs are finding clear resistance here, so it's not like it's a super healthy channel or anything, but it is valid. So we just got to stick with what price does, like I always say. If price ends up holding above the overnight high, then we could get a couple legs down, retesting it, get long off of it. But if price pushes through that and pushes through this lower channel line here, then I'd like to see a couple legs up to get short on a failure.